This is the One Girl Revolution podcast, a podcast that highlights the stories of world-changing women and girls across the country. We hope that these stories inspire you, but even more so, we hope that these stories help you to see your own value, your purpose, and your power to change the world through your life. Every woman and girl is a One Girl Revolution. This week on the One Girl Revolution podcast, I'm honored to welcome the incredible Molly Cupka, founder and executive director of Up ENDing Parkinson's, an incredible nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering and supporting those affected by Parkinson's disease. Molly shares in this episode, but I will share with you a little bit about her story. She learned how to climb and fell in love with it. It was so empowering and freeing for her, and she ended up teaching others and climbing more and more. Along her journey, one of her clients was suffering from Parkinson's, and she knew the power of climbing herself, but got to witness all that climbing did to help this client who was living with Parkinson's disease. It had an amazing effect. Molly ended up deciding to start this incredible nonprofit organization, Up ENDing Parkinson's, to help others who are living with Parkinson's disease. Up ENDing Parkinson's provides support, resources, education, community, and climbing programs across the country to those living with Parkinson's to improve their quality of life while also raising awareness and supporting critical research and programs. In this episode, Molly shares her story, her passion for climbing and helping others, the transformative work being done through Up ENDing Parkinson's, and stories from the incredible work that they're doing. She also talks about the importance of community, how we can all make a difference in the fight against Parkinson's, and the power of resilience and hope in the face of challenges. This conversation is so inspiring, heartfelt, and will leave you motivated to take action in your own life. Here's my conversation with Molly. Molly, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I am so excited to have you on to talk about your story, to share about the incredible work that you're doing with Up ENDing Parkinson's. A dear friend of mine, Maggie, shout out to Maggie, lives in Virginia, and she sent me your story a couple of weeks ago, and I just started going through all these different interviews you've done and just was so blown away by the great work that you're doing. And so I want to talk about all of that. I know that everybody who's listening wants to hear about the great work that you're doing through your organization and also find out ways that they can get involved. But before we get into that, I always love to just kind of rewind and hear a little bit about your own story. So I would love for you to just share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and maybe how you got into the work that you're doing today.
Okay, yeah. I grew up in Maryland, went to high school, middle school in DC, and then I was an athlete growing up. I would say I played a lot of sports, and then when I went to college at University of California, Irvine, I swam there. And I went there because it was warm weather and I got to swim outdoors, which was really nice. And towards the end of that, I didn't really want to swim anymore. I wasn't going to make the Olympics. And it was like, okay, I'm done. And so I was looking for something else to do, and they had a rock wall at our college, and I decided to sign up for one of their classes, and I took that and immediately hooked on it. I was working at that wall, I think within a month of taking that intro class. And then it was nice because I was in California and I got to climb outdoors a lot out there. So I got good exposure. And then I moved back to Virginia in about 2006. I had a few odds and ends jobs. I started my own baking business for a little bit, and then that fell under, and I was a yoga instructor at Sportrock, a climbing gym, so I could get a free membership. And then I just really liked working there. I ended up wanting to do a little bit more. I became a manager, and then I became an assistant director, and then I became the director of the facility. And so I've been working there for almost 17 years, a long time.
Wow. Well, tell me about that. Tell me about your job because you're the director of Sportrock in Alexandria, Virginia. What does that entail? Tell me a little bit about your job.
A little bit of everything. Sportrock is, well, it's a big company in a way. It's still a small business. It's, kind of mom and pop. And so when you're the director of the facility, that means you have your hands in kind of everything from hiring to like the roof leaking to alarm systems. And it's really just a little bit of everything, making sure that the day-to-day stuff in the gym is going well and that everybody's having fun and, nothing's out of whack in the gym. And I make the schedule for them. I work with the hiring. I have a great team of assistant directors and people who help with events and programs and marketing and stuff. So I just kind of work with those people to make sure everything's running smoothly. And yeah, it's been fun.
So I'd love to transition into the great work that you're doing with the nonprofit. And in 2012, I was reading on your website about how you started a rock climbing group for people with Parkinson's at Sportrock. Can you share how did that come about? How did you start that? And then when did you decide this is something bigger? I need to start a nonprofit. We need to do more work with people with Parkinson's.
Pretty early on, I actually thought I needed to do more work with it. But I started with a guy who wanted to try rock climbing. He had Parkinson's and he came in and we started doing lessons early in the morning. The gym was open, but it was when it was less busy. And so it was nice because he didn't have to worry about falling with a bunch of people in the gym and we had it to ourselves. And it was really helping him a lot. And he did a lot of activities and taught me a lot about Parkinson's and had me doing research and reading books and I got really into it after meeting him. And we were noticing how much it was helping and how fun it was. And I really enjoyed working with him. So I wanted a few more people to join our group. And we found a few more people to join our group. And then it was like, it helped him. And that was really neat to see. But then to see it helping other people as well, it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was pretty important. It made me realize that maybe we had something here. And the more I was learning about the exercise, the more I was with Parkinson's, the types of exercise you need to do, the more I was like, oh, wow, climbing really is a really good exercise for people with Parkinson's. And so I felt like early on, I wanted it to grow, but I just didn't know how. I'm still learning how. um, but at one point I was just like, I really would like it to be a nonprofit. I would like money for it so I could help fund these programs. And when I was looking around to get money, everything was like, you need to be a nonprofit. And so I was like, okay, well, we need to be a nonprofit then. And then I just happened to meet somebody who is a great lawyer who's doing everything pro bono. He's involved in the group, highly works a lot with me, and he really helped me get it going and do everything legally.
Yeah, well, it's so important, the work that you're doing. And I think there's such a need for it. And you've even seen that, like, okay, we started with one person and you saw the benefits of it. If you're enjoying this world-changing woman's story, please subscribe to the One Girl Revolution podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share with a friend. One Girl Revolution has grown our impact and reach because of people like you, listening to and sharing these incredible stories. Please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share with a friend. For people that are listening that might not know that much about Parkinson's, can you share just a little bit about your own experience and your own knowledge? And then also, like, what are the benefits of climbing, especially when you're talking about Parkinson's?
Yeah, so with Parkinson's, it's a movement disorder. So it's progressive also. So the older you get or the longer you've had it, the worse, the more symptoms show up, the worse it gets. And they've shown that exercise can help mitigate it, can help possibly slow the progression. Probably not reverse it, but slow the progression. And they've done a lot of research on exercise with that. And with that, they broke off into like different categories of exercise. So like high intensity exercise and like mobility and, doing things repetitively. And they've done a whole bunch of studies on different things. And it shows that it helps with really all the different types of exercise help in some different way. And so the prescription they give for somebody with Parkinson's is like, you need to do some mobility stuff, some strength stuff, some cardio stuff, stuff with balance, which is a lot of things, but they are also all involved in rock climbing. So that's kind of like the science of kind of why I feel like it works. And then what I've seen is just people getting so much better, I would say mentally and emotionally. I think that the physical benefits are there, but I'm seeing people like on a regular basis. So I have to go off of like them telling me they're doing better in X, Y, and Z, or their doctors telling them they're doing better. But like the emotional stuff, you can see that. And that's really cool. And it's really neat to think about people when I first met them and like where they're at now and how much they've like developed and grown and how much happier they are.
Yeah, it must be so cool for you, almost like a proud mama to see. I'm sure that sometimes when people show up, maybe for the first time or they go to climb for the first time, and this goes for everybody, not just people that you're dealing with that have Parkinson's, but when they first show up and they look at that wall and they're like, no, no, I can't do it. Or they finally, after a couple of times, make it to the top. It must be so exciting for you to see that.
Yeah, for everybody, like you said, for everybody who comes and climbs, it's especially kids, watching their confidence, and then this group too. And there's other populations that come in that just like really touch your heart a little bit extra. I think it's when people think that they can't do it and then they can, that it makes it extra special.
So for people that are listening, Upending Parkinson started in 2012. It started with the story that you shared, and I know it's grown and evolved to where you are today. And I know you have so much farther you want to go and so many things you want to do with it. But can you share just about the mission of Upending Parkinson's and what it looks like today?
Yeah, we're trying to spread climbing to gyms across the country. I'd say that's one of our big missions. We wanted to do research on Parkinson's and climbing, which we did actually. So we can talk about that more if you'd like. But that was we presented at a conference recently in Dallas, and so the poster is published in public, and we're in the works of a journal hopefully soon. But that was another one of my things because ideally I would like to have insurance cover it. I would like people to be able to go into climbing gym and give it, get it covered by their insurance. That would be amazing. I know that's a long shot, but there's no way that would happen without studies being done. So that was kind of like a first step for me in doing a study. I might not see it in my lifetime, but maybe somebody else can take it over. And yeah, getting it into all the gyms across the country and just kind of building confidence and awareness about Parkinson's, but the confidence in the people with Parkinson's and knowing there's communities out there that can make their life better.
Yeah, I think that the research that you're doing and also the experiences that you're having and able to share some of these different stories, it opens people's eyes, right? Because I think when you're given a diagnosis, and I don't know what that's like, but if you're given a diagnosis with Parkinson's or anything like that, a lot of times it's just you're so afraid of what is to come. And I think if you're given just some different outlets, like, hey, this might help. Climbing, for instance, is not going to hurt you, right? Like it's like, okay, this is one thing. Let's try it and see how your body works with that. And like, let's see how it helps you in these different circumstances that you're going through. It's so incredible what you're providing for people. And I hope that it continues to grow and evolve. And I think it starts with opportunities like this. I know you've done some other media for people's eyes to be opened, but even having that research out there where it's like, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is what we know. And imagine if we could have this present in gyms across America, but also around the world.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of remind me of something there. So also with climbing, since you're attached to a rope, well, that's the type of climbing we do is top rope climbing. It seems like scary and dangerous and like all these things that don't go along with Parkinson's, but it really is very safe. And I mean, you're attached to the rope, somebody's holding you. So like there's no worry about you falling, because if you fall, you just fall into air, maybe like twist against the wall. But it's safe in that respect, where a lot of people with Parkinson's have balance issues. And so they're not able to push themselves as hard as they want to because of like fear of getting hurt. But when you're climbing, you can push yourself like as hard as you want because you're going to be okay. So I think that's kind of neat too.
Yeah. I would love for you to share a story or two of someone who's been helped by the work that you're doing with upending Parkinson's. Maybe I know you've been around since 2012 and it's grown and evolved, and there are probably so many stories that you could share, but is there a story or two, Molly, that you feel like really illustrates the power of what you're doing?
Jeez, I have so many stories. That would be a hard one for me. Let's see. Um, I have I have just a number of people who, get really emotional after they climb, and that's always like touching to me, especially when it's, a rough and tough guy who's like, I don't cry, and they're like, I can't believe I'm crying right now, but they're just usually what the words that come out of their mouth are like, I can't believe I did that. Like, you don't understand what that just did to me. Like, I can't believe I did that. So, I mean, every time anything like that happens, it's very touching. I'd say there are a few people I can pinpoint that emotionally when they came in were like just a wreck, like like couldn't climb because during our 20-minute conversation, it was like a lot of tears, and it was mostly tears of like, I can't believe I have this disease. Like, I don't think I can do anything. Like, and then just like sharing, because sometimes people don't have many people to share with too. And it's just like, and then seeing those same people, down the road, just like loving the group and like coming in so excited and like happy and getting involved in other things too. I think that's neat. I always see people start with climbing, and then they'll say they're doing other things to get better at climbing, which whatever the reason is great. But like start, Pilates to get better at climbing, or like biking or walking or something. But I think it's just a motivating sport to get involved in other things too. And what really touches me is when I ask for somebody in our group to help with anything, it's like everybody wants to help. So that's how I know that it's like so impactful to people. It's like, I did a podcast, or not a podcast, a little recording for the Northwest Parkinson's Foundation. And I reached out to 10 people and was like, hey, out of like you 10, I just need a few people to come on and tell their story about climbing. And like all 10 wanted to do it. So they did. Like, we go and do the recording, and I was like, all right, well, we have this person, this person, this person. They're going to talk about their stories, and I don't even need to talk. So it's pretty neat.
Another aspect to it, and I was just thinking about this as you were talking before, is community. I think it can be so isolating. Anything, right? Parkinson's, cancer, all the different things that any of us may deal with throughout our lifetime. It can probably feel so isolating for people. And what you're providing through Upending Parkinson's is community support of other people that are going through Parkinson's, that are carrying that. But also other people just at the gym who are just like, hey, let's stand together. It's probably cool for these older people to see like kids going up the walls as well. It's really building community for people.
Yeah, huge community. It's like a subculture of our gym and the other gyms where it's at too. It's just like you just said it perfectly. It's not just the people in the group climbing, but they're like integrated into the community of the gym. The people who volunteer, the people who are just there climbing. And it's like really, climbing is a very inclusive sport in general. It's a very like, anyone's welcome, come join us. And so it's neat to see that community in the gym, and have a 6-year-old climbing right next to like an 80-year-old.
Yeah, and like cheering each other on, right? And being like, "Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
you did it. That's so amazing." I think that's such a cool culture aspect of gyms or different organizations like what you're doing, is really building community for people so that they don't feel so alone.
Yeah, there's so much cheering. You're right. We just gave a talk the other day, and one of the Parkinson's guys was mentioning is, what other activity do you do when you're working out where you have a whole room of people cheering your name? Like, he's like, can you imagine that if you were like biking and you have like 20 people cheering you on? Yeah.
We all need that.
Yeah.
So, Molly, where do you go from here? I know you shared a little bit about different your hopes and dreams for upending Parkinson's, but in your dream worlds, where do you hope that upending Parkinson's goes from here 5 or 10 years down the line?
Yeah, I hope it's in, like I said, just about every gym. I not every gym, but like a lot of gyms. I would like multiple gyms in every state. Right now we have 26 locations, and I'm talking to a lot of other gyms about getting programs started. the reason it's so slow is because of finances. So if, I'm hoping in 5 or 10 years we will be totally financially stable, and I can just, call up a gym and be like, hey, we want you to do this program. Can you do it at half price? Okay, here's the money. And then it's free for Parkinson's climbers. Because as it stands, like it's free at the gym where I started it at, and it's free at a couple of the other gyms, but the rest of the gyms it's discounted pricing. And since we don't have the money to pay for them, instead I do like an individual sort of donation thing. So if anyone can't afford it, scholarship thing, they reach out and then we will pay for that individual. But I would like it to be able to cover everybody.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating thing I feel like with nonprofit organizations is there's so much need and there's so much potential for what you could be doing, but a lot of times it's just funding, and that's why this part of why this podcast exists is for people to get involved and support the great work of organizations like yours. And obviously, if somebody's has Parkinson's, that they know that these resources are out there, but we all can do something. And I always say on this podcast that the free and easy way for anybody to support great work like yours is just to follow on social media and share, because it's a free and easy way. But what else can people do to support the great work that you're doing and get involved in upending Parkinson's?
Volunteering at a specific location, that's huge. And even if you don't know how to belay, like we can get you to learn how to do that at the gyms, holding the other end of the rope. There's plenty of people who didn't know how before, and then they now volunteer and belay. There's several locations, and we want a lot more. A lot of the hesitancy to start the new locations is that we don't have like a lead volunteer at that location. So we're looking for like lead volunteers like everywhere. And so if somebody is listening to this and they really want to get involved, and they can let me know pretty much what city they live in, and we'll like contact the gym, and it makes it much easier when you have that. And then there's other things, I'm starting a fundraising committee and like some other committees. So if anyone wants to, is into social media and wants to help out, just a little bit of time, and that would be helpful. And like you said, following social media and sharing things is huge too.
I will put your website, I will put all of your social media links, we'll tag you in all of the posts about this episode so people can easily get in touch with you. And I know they can message you or email you. I just emailed you really off the website and got connected to you, so people can reach out if they want to give of their time, their talent. One Girl Revolution is a nonprofit multimedia enterprise that is dedicated to highlighting the stories of world-changing women and girls. Many of these stories have never been told before, and others have never been told in this way. We create the space for women and girls who are making a difference in the world to tell their authentic and inspiring stories. Help us tell more stories in the new year. Please consider becoming a monthly donor to support our work. Every dollar counts, and every dollar goes right back into the work that we're doing. Consider giving $5 or $10 a month, and I promise your gift will make an incredible impact. Donate today at onegirlrevolution.com/donate. Also, one thing, Molly, I just want to mention, one thing that I love so much about your story is you're working full time, you work at the gym, and you found this love and this passion for climbing. And now you're able to use that to help other people. And I love those kind of stories too, where it's like we all have talent, time. Sometimes, we have money that we can donate to things, but I just encourage people to always know, like, okay, what is something you're passionate about, and use that to help other people. And I'm thinking, as you're sharing your story and as you're talking about the great work that you're doing, we can all do something to emulate what you're doing, right? Like know what you're good at or know what you love to do, and even just volunteer your time to help other people with climbing or whatever your thing is. If it's art or music, we can all do something to help other people.
That is, so true. I constantly hear that people don't have enough time. And I want to tell you, you do. I have 3 kids, drive an hour each way to work. I work full time, 4 dogs, and I'm training for a marathon. You have time. And I love it. I love staying busy, obviously. But I feel like people are quick to, I get it. Downtime's nice too. And having like a break is nice, but like an hour a week, like everybody can find an hour a week to like volunteer for something, or like learn about something, or you spread the word on something. Yeah.
Yeah. And do something that you love. So like something that you already love, and it will just fuel your fire to help other people. And I just think it's so incredible what you're doing, Molly. And I can't wait to continue to follow everything that you're doing and support the great work that you're doing and everything for years to come, because I know there's a lot to come for you and for upending Parkinson's. Molly, I'm curious if you could get to the very root of why you do what you do, why you're so passionate about this, especially Parkinson's, why you're so passionate about helping people with Parkinson's and helping people with climbing. What would you say that root is?
I'd say it started with seeing how much it benefited people, and it was crazy to me that it wasn't out there, that nobody knew about it. I couldn't find anything online, and I was like, wait, nobody is doing this. Nobody knows about it. And I felt like it was like my duty to kind of do that because I saw the benefits, and I was like, well, people need to know. And I'm sure down the road at some point somebody would have figured this out. But who knows if they would have taken the extra step to kind of spread it. I'm sure somebody with Parkinson's I know people with Parkinson's were climbing, but it's just like sharing how beneficial it was. I felt like that was really, really important. And then it's grown, it's still that, but it's grown to like just seeing the tremendous benefit it has for people, and for like all sorts of people, not just people early onset, people who are much older, people with wheelchairs and walkers. And it's so far, I have not had success with anyone's like everybody who's walked through has like been successful in some way with climbing. And I just think that's so neat. I just want everybody to experience it.
It's so incredible what you're doing, and I can't wait to follow all the stories and everything that you have going on because it just is so innovative. What's the experience been with the Parkinson's community? Have people been really supportive of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, now they have been. At first, it was, you're crazy. That I heard that a lot at first, but I'm very persuasive, and I can convince. I feel like I can convince most people that they should give it a try. But I'm only like one person talking, so I can only convince so many people. But I feel like it's cool that it's finally catching on, and people are hearing about it and getting excited.
And you've done the work, right? Like doing the research and having the experiences that you can point to. A lot of times, all of us, like we might have an idea or a dream that we want to chase, and it can be isolating. I brought the word up isolating before. And talking about Parkinson's, but even for us, it's like if you have a dream, continue to fight for it. And at some point, I really believe that the right people will come on onto your path to really help you and support you. And I know that you've experienced that with upending Parkinson's.
Absolutely. I feel like anyone who reaches out, I'm like, let's talk to you and see what you're about, because you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Molly, you are a one girl revolution, and that's why I wanted to have you on this podcast. And I know that there are so many women and girls probably that inspire you every single day. But who is a one girl revolution in your life? Who is a woman or girl that inspires you?
I would have to say, so the executive director of Sportrock, Lillian Chow Quinlan, who used to be the president, who was and is, I guess, technically still my boss. She she's been my boss for a lot of years, and she was like the type of boss and owner that like really wanted everybody there to find what they were passionate about and do what they're passionate about. And she's always like, if it's not sport rock, then go find what you're passionate about. And she's the one who said, yes, you can do this group for free, because she saw the benefit of it. And especially now that I'm trying to spread to other gyms, it's like she said yes without hesitation, and I can't like convince with experience and 1,000 other reasons why to these other gyms why they should do it for free. But it just like she's like a very special person, and I feel like I definitely look up to her. She's also an amazing rock climber and works so hard doing everything she does, and yeah, she's pretty inspiring.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to continue to follow Sportrock and follow upending Parkinson's and all the great work that you're doing. But before I let you go, I always end this podcast on one question. So I'd like to ask you, if you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
It's going to sound so cliche, but I feel like follow your dreams and believe that something will come of it. Like, even if it seems like it's hard and taking a long time, I feel like if you're like truly passionate about something, it'll work out.
Well, you are such an example of that, Molly, and I'm so grateful to know you and so grateful to have you on this podcast. Like I said, I will be sure to put your website, all your social media links so people can easily get in touch with you. And I can't wait to continue to follow everything that you're doing. But thank you so much for being on the One Girl Revolution podcast, and thank you for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and everything.
For more from One Girl Revolution, to listen to all of our podcast episodes, watch our Emmy-nominated documentary series, follow us on social media, donate to our nonprofit organization, and more, please visit onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com.